In today's video, I'm going to be trying to help you go as fast as you can at Bathurst in the Group 4 Mazda to try and help you improve your DR this week. So if you do enjoy these videos, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments if it's helped you out. It's always great to read them comments. But let's get into this guide and try and help you get quicker in that time trial and help you out in the race with some tips for this car. So going into turn 1, we are going to be braking past the 100 board on the right hand side and before the 50 board. It's actually pretty much dead in the middle there. You can see maybe a little bit closer to the 100 than the 50. And from here, we're going to let that second gear rotate us in. So as we're approaching this corner now, you can see you want to get the line so that you can concentrate on your exit speed, carrying that momentum up the hill. So second gear for a bit of rotation, then back up to third gear for the acceleration. Now be very cautious on the exit. Sometimes you might not be able to go straight away 100% throttle. You'll have to feed that throttle in just so you don't understeer onto the grass. But you really want to get as smooth of an exit as possible so that when you get to the top of the hill, you're going as fast as possible. Now into the next braking zone, we're going to use the end of that piece of tarmac there as our reference, but we're going to brake ever so slightly past it. So as we approach it there, you can see we're going slightly past it by the time we get on the brakes, and make sure you're on the brakes before the 50 board or you will be going into that wall there. So through this corner, you want to try and keep your right hand tyre as close to that white line as possible on the first part so that you can then get on the throttle and carry the acceleration on the exit. What you don't want to do is get off the throttle because then you lose that momentum up this hill. Now into the next braking zone, the kink in the corner, I always use it as our reference for the braking pretty much in the middle of that kink. And from here, you're going to see, you're going to let the car go out a little bit wide. Don't go too wide though. You don't want to go all the way up to the white line because you'll understeer then. And then use second gear to rotate it into this corner. But again, like before, back up to third gear for the acceleration. So you can see early into third gear and then early on the throttle, and then that will stop the wheel spin and you'll carry the momentum then without having to change the gear all the way up this hill. Now into this next right hand corner, this is a tricky one. You can do this completely flat out if you get it right, but you might see I give a slight little safety lift as we go through the corner. You can see it there, just a little lift off the throttle. What that'll do is you'll just take a bit of momentum off the car, and it'll also just put a bit of weight onto the front to rotate you through that corner. Now into this next left hand corner, you can see we're going flat out, and this is a very fast left hand corner. What you want to do again is just a tiny little lift off the throttle. That'll again just lift that weight off of the front, and then that'll rotate you into this curb. And the left hand tire, you want to get it right up onto that curb and then keep the momentum down in fifth gear as you go to the exit over the curb, and then use the start of this curb there as a reference for where we're lifting off the throttle. We're not going to get on the brakes, we're just going to lift off the throttle as we go to the start of that curb, and then you're going to see that'll enable us to carry the momentum into this long, fast left-hand corner. If you get the line right, trying to take kind of a narrow line, you want the left-hand tire to skim the curb on the left, and then you can get back onto that throttle to carry the speed all the way under the overhead board here. Now, you're going to use that as a reference as we're coming into this corner for where we're going to get on the brakes. So the board over our head, we're going to brake pretty much dead on that. You can see there onto the brakes, and we're pretty much just going under it now. And you want to get the right hand tyre as close to the wall on the right hand side here as possible, and then get the left hand tyre up onto the curb, down to third gear, and then into this corner. Now if you're going a bit too deep, you might want to use second gear for a bit of rotation, but you should be able to do it with just third gear, letting it rotate into the corner. And then this next corner is really important. You've got to really send it over the left hand side. You can see before the end of the curb, get back onto the brakes a little bit here, and then you can see left hand tire can go over that grass quite aggressively. As long as your right hand tire doesn't go over the white line, you can actually get away with it normally. So just be careful you don't get a penalty. But I didn't do it quite perfect there, and the ghost I'm chasing, I think it was Lewis's lap, also didn't really hook that corner up, and there is definitely more time to be gained on that part of the track. Now into this next corner, you can see we're going to use the red board on the left as our braking reference, braking pretty much dead level with that. Keep the car to the right hand side, and then use the gears to rotate it in. Now you can use first gear here. I've started to use first gear in the race to rotate it through and then straight back up to third, but you can see in this time trial I stayed in third, but you can see the understeer that causes me. So yeah, a first gear shift will rotate the car. You can brake a bit later then, and then straight back up to third gear for the acceleration should make you a bit quicker on that corner in particular. Now into the next braking zone, we're going to brake just past the 150 board on the right hand side. That's what we're going to use for our reference. So you can see just as we approach it now, onto the brakes a little bit past that 150 board, and then what you want to do, it's all about carrying momentum into these next two corners. So as we approach the left hand part of the corner, you can see we want to get the left hand tire just skimming the curb. You don't want to hit it too hard because the car will become unsettled. So just skimming that, and then back onto the throttle as aggressively as you can, and then try and get that right hand tire to just run along the curb on the right hand side here, and then you'll be able to get into fourth gear as you carry the speed out of the corner. So up to fourth gear before you get to the curb, and again use some of the curb if you need to for an extra width for the track. Now into the final braking zone, we're going to brake past the 100 board, pretty much dead in the middle between the 100 and the 50. You can see it there. And now now we're going to use them gears again. Down to second gear for the rotation. So you're going to, again, try and take a line that you can get on that throttle nice and early. And what you're going to do is you're going to go into third gear for the throttle. So you can see early upshift to third gear as we're in the middle of the corner. And then accelerate 100% throttle all the way on the exit and over the line. I think we go over the line for a 2 minute 11.0. Like I say, it's not an amazingly fast lap, but it should be enough to give you some reference for how to go quicker on this combo. But yeah, let's have a little watch of the lap now from the chase camera with the kilometers an hour, and we'll go through some of them tips now with this angle. And you can see, again, into that turn one, it's all about getting in that third gear and carrying that momentum all the way up this hill. It's a very important corner to get right. Now, make sure you're revving this car out. Obviously, you need to rev it pretty much to the maximum on the straights. Do not short shift this like 50% or anything like that, because you'll lose a lot of momentum. And then as again, when we come into turn two, you can see just as we go past that bit of tarmac on the left, using them gears to rotate it. And it's all about hogging that inside. If you get the line right, you'll get the grip to get on that throttle nice and early, and then that carries that momentum up this hill into this next braking zone. A very tricky braking section this. Again, you go too deep, you run over the white line, and you'll just understeer on that off camber, and you'll be losing momentum all the way up this hill now. So make sure you get on that brake at the right point. And then through here, it's all about whether you want to risk going flat through that or a little lift. You can 100% do it completely flat out. So if you want to take a risk, go for it. And again, for this left-hand corner, I could have took a little bit more momentum through there, but I did give it that little safety lift just to rotate it through these fast left-hand corners and then into this downhill section. This is all about being smooth. The smoother you are, the faster you'll be. Too aggressive and you'll slide about a lot, and you'll just lose momentum as you lose the traction, and you just can't get on the throttle because you go too deep. So try and be as smooth as you can for this section. And again, you can see how I could have used the gears here. You look at the wall, there was a massive gap between the wall and my car, so a little shift to second or first and then straight back up to third is definitely the quicker way to do that for time trial. So maybe if I go back on it, I'll be doing that just to get a bit more speed from this combination. And again, completely flat out on this section. This is where you're going to be getting most of your overtakes done in the race with that incredibly strong slipstream, and it's why it's so good to bump draft if you're out in the lead with another driver, because you're then just going to pull away. So again, into this section, the left hand tyre you'll see just graze that curb on the left, and then the right hand tyre just use that curb, and then again left hand tyre onto the curb. It's all about using that full width of the track to get maximum momentum from these corners. And then into that final corner, second gear for a bit of rotation, middle of the corner, right on the apex, up into third gear, and then accelerate over that line for a pretty solid lap. So yeah, hopefully this is going to help you out for this week's Daily Race C. I hope it does. That's what we're aiming on our channel now, to help as many people out as we can with track guides, other guide videos. So let me know in the comments if this has helped you out, and I'll be back with more guides in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.